The burning conflict between Russia and Ukraine has taken a toll on the world. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is the biggest military mobilization in Europe since World War II. Different artists have started supporting the Ukrainian citizens through their art to raise money to fulfill their needs in these times of crisis. More than 4 million people have fled across borders to seek safety since Russia deployed its military in neighboring Ukraine on February 24, 2022. To support the Ukrainian people, Julian Lennon, the son of John Lennon, the famous member of the Fab Four, sang his father's hit song to show support for the people and raise money through his music. What provoked Julian to sing the song for the very first time? What is the story behind Imagine? And how is it going to help the Ukrainian people through these difficult times? We are going to find out everything in this video. But before we start, please smash that subscribe button below and hit the bell icon so you can stay in touch with all our uploads. Thank you for your support. Imagine by John Lennon. So Imagine was written by John Lennon during a difficult time of his life after the split of the Beatles. In early 1971, Paul McCartney filed a lawsuit to dissolve the band's contractual partnership. While the crew was disbanding, Lennon had just bought a new piano, spray-painted white, for his wife Yoko Ono's birthday. Soon afterward, he wrote Imagine on it. Imagine was inspired heavily by Ono, who used the word in many of her 1960s conceptual artworks. The credit for the song's lyrics and the concept was given to Yoko along with John Lennon in 2007. Imagine eventually spent 4 weeks at #1 in January 1981, shortly after Lennon's murder. It was named the Peace Anthem, with universal lyrics by many people, including former US President Jimmy Carter. He called it a clarion call for world peace. The backstory of Imagine. Coming to the song's backstory, when America entered the Vietnam War, it began sending 40,000 men into the service each month. It built an army of about 500,000 men, with major casualties each year the war went on. Eventually, protests broke out against the war movement. College students and leftist organizations began speaking out against the war effort. There was still a majority of Americans that supported the administration policy in Vietnam, but the protests were prominent in American society, and the voices of these intellectuals, artists, and college students were heard. But Richard Nixon disregarded the minority of Americans speaking out and claimed these citizens were drowning out the silent majority. In 1971, John Lennon wrote the song Imagine, which brought sentiments of hope, peace, and love back into the minds of the leftist American people. People were hopeless during the war, but Imagine inspired and fueled their hope. It created a tone of unity among the American people, with which something they had been missing during that time. The tone he created through Imagine all the people sharing all the world depicts the division of the American people, and Lennon, speaking from one of the leftist protesters' point of view, wants to bring unity and togetherness back into a world of division and separation. He instilled a thought in the minds of every person affected by or living in a state of injustice or inequality, repeating the word Imagine, forcing the audience to do just that. Imagine pictured a world with no need for greed or hunger, a world where there is peace and acceptance of everyone. Imagine became an anthem against all the injustices and discrimination of the world and represented the idea of living as one. Julian Lennon sings Imagine for the first time. Now you know why and how Imagine was created. People recall this song during times of crisis and war. Recently, the situation between Russia and Ukraine has made this song pop up again. The war in Ukraine has provoked Lennon's son, Julian, to sing the tune for the first time. Julian resisted singing the Vietnam War era song for a long time. He said some years back that the only time I would ever consider singing Imagine would be if it was the end of the world. When the Ukrainian crisis surfaced, Julian said, "The war in Ukraine is an unimaginable tragedy. And as a human and as an artist, I felt compelled to respond in the most significant way I could." According to Julian, the lyrics written by his father reflect the collective desire for peace worldwide. Within the song, we're transported to a space where love and togetherness become our reality, if but for a moment in time. The song reflects the light at the end of the tunnel that we are all hoping for. Julian spoke against the brutal act of Russia and said that as a result of the ongoing murderous violence, millions of innocent families have been forced to leave the comfort of their homes and seek asylum elsewhere. He called the world leaders and everyone who believes in the sentiment of imagine to stand up for refugees everywhere and advocate and donate from the heart. Julian performed the peace anthem of his father in a somber setting, surrounded by dozens of candles. Extreme frontman Nuno Bettencourt accompanied him on acoustic guitar. The song featured Lennon sitting on a stool, and it was posted on Lennon's Instagram page on his 59th birthday. The performance was part of Global Citizens' social media rally, Stand Up for Ukraine, raising money for the embattled country and refugees fleeing amid Russia's brutal war. Julian played his part, and through his music, he contributed to the great cause of helping people trapped in the brutality of war waged against them. A little about Julian Lennon. Julian is the son of the famous John Lennon and his first wife, Cynthia. Julian inspired 3 Beatles songs, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, released in 1967, Hey Jude, released in 1968, and Good Night, also released in 1968. His parents divorced in 1968 after his father had an affair with Yoko Ono. Julian was just 5 at the time of their separation. Julian started his music career with the album Volate in 1984, and since then, he has released 6 albums. He has held exhibitions of his fine art photography and has had several children's books published. In 2006, Lennon produced the environmental documentary film Whale Dreamers, which won 8 international awards. In 2007, he founded the White Feather Foundation, whose stated mission goal is to address environmental and humanitarian issues. He has done a lot of work in philanthropy, and it is no surprise that he played his part in showing support of the Ukrainian people. He sang his father's song, which he vowed he would only sing if the world was ending. Julian didn't have a very good relationship with John. He called his father a hypocrite on multiple occasions because of the contradiction between his father's peace beliefs and the way he treated him and his mother. Julian was also excluded from his father's will. However, a trust of £10,000 was created by his father to be shared between Julian and his half-brother Sean. Julian later sued his father's estate and, in 1996, reached a settlement agreement reportedly around £20 million. He had a better relationship with Paul McCartney than with his father. He had the best time with John during the mid-1970s, when he was in an 18-month relationship with music executive May Pang. Julian was called the product of a whiskey bottle by John when he was young. It is a cruel thing to say to your son. In a statement given 20 years after Lennon's death, Julian Lennon wrote, "I had a great deal of anger towards Dad because of the negligence and his attitude to peace and love. That peace and love never came home to me. It was a love-hate relationship between the two, and Julian didn't have enough time to get closure to John's murder. But despite all the differences he had with his father, Julian stepped forward when the world needed the hope and love and became part of a fundraiser to support the victims of war." Conclusion. The conflict between Ukraine and Russia is accelerating at a fast pace, and the conditions are deteriorating for the Ukrainian citizens. People are coming forward and supporting the refugees by giving donations and prayers. Julian showed his support through his music by coming forward with the peace anthem. What are you guys doing to support Ukraine? Tell us in the comment section below. This is all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Keep supporting peace and keep praying for a better world and a better tomorrow. See you guys in the next video. Stay tuned.